and also then just a couple of guys into the middle.
I'm gonna go ahead and call this September 9th meeting of the Riley County Commission to order. Please, everybody join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah. I hope the whole season doesn't end up like Saturday. I can't, I'm getting too
Down
old
to the
for this.
last play.
I'm getting too old for this.
Well, after the Chiefs game, he did the same
Yeah, I
thing.
know, right? At least Manhattan High ran the table pretty good.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
So did John.
Yeah, so at least I had something to rest our laurels on, I guess. Anyway. Well, as usual, start off with some public comment this morning, everybody.
Let's see, a new county councilor position, I suppose, doesn't mean that 180 seconds change, it's still 3 minutes.
I am afraid so, and it just.
So that's 3 minutes when I'm speaking, not when anybody else is speaking. I just wanted to thank you again for achieving the R&R. I know it's not easy. And next budget season is going to be upon us in just a few months, and we'll be trying to figure that out.
Start all over again.
2027. But I know you'll do your best. So I also want to thank you once again for this trifold that the staff puts out for Rich's gang group. I think it's very helpful to the citizens. I'd encourage you not only distribute it here, but ask that someone run a bunch of copies over to the public library, just so people can see it in there, and any other public place. I don't know where that would be right off the top of my head. Oh, maybe the city. There's a good place. I also want to let you.
I was thinking that myself, actually.
I also want to let you know that I'm going to be going to the city commission meeting tomorrow night, and I hope this isn't copyrighted. And they got to get your permission.
Just the logo.
But I am going to ask them to produce something like this. I'm hopeful that the purpose of me asking, it may take several years to get there, but the purpose of me asking is to try to develop consistency in terms of the visual so that people have some understanding of this. Now, I think it's doable for the city, for the school districts in the county. I don't know that they could produce this thing because it's not a big enough piece of paper unless they use #2 font for all their funds and monies and things like that. But it's a great document. I know they're using it in Geary County, and I'm going to try to get Geary County or Junction City to do the same thing, create the consistency. Real quick questions. When's the next joint meeting?
Joint City County?
Yeah. Is it this month, I assume?
It is, I think it's on the
Yeah, it was
19th.
the third week.
Once again, I would encourage you, I would encourage you to consider on your agenda or the agenda, a discussion of finding a way to separate out not the functions, but the information on the cost of law enforcement in Riley County, either on the R&R statement or the tax statement that we get in November, so that the citizen taxpayers can see exactly what the law enforcement portion is costing them instead of having it blended. Now, this shows it, I realize that, but you still have to take 20% here and 80% there. If it was on the statement, the R&R statement, at least people would see it and maybe better understand it. And I realize it's a little complicated because you also pay for medical expenses, you pay for capital improvements, and I understand that, but we got to make progress. We got to continue to make progress in being more transparent. And when I say transparency, it doesn't mean giving a taxpayer an opportunity to go dig and find something, because that's hard to do. It's a lot easier if the commissions would bring it forward. And so on this document, I would also ask you to consider, if possible, including how many employees
We're at 3 minutes.
every year are on this, so that people know. Okay. Thank you again for the things that you do for the citizens.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
And I guess we're gonna have to get used to jackhammers and backup sounds and everything else for how
Oh,
long.
you gotta hear it when it's like 2 feet off the
Uh-huh.
exterior wall of my office. Whew.
Probably routing stuff off the wall.
With those giant jackhammers. Oh my gosh.
They're taking forever. Anyway,
Well, you can
anybody
leave
else have any more public comment?
Yeah.
Seeing none, I'll close off the public comment section for the morning and we'll start with commissioner comments. Commissioner Kinman.
All right, well, Thursday after our meeting, I met with Bryant Parker, went over a number of things going on in the county and basically solved the world's problems, I think. We had a long.
Except
Can we all go home now?
Yeah.
for dumping coffee in your lap first thing in the morning.
I'm absolutely, I made the shirt change and made it here for the beginning of the meeting.
Oh,
So
oh.
something's going right, man.
Okay,
And on Monday too.
I know.
Yeah.
and then Saturday was a very busy personal 8 to 8 day. It started the morning at Warner Park for a granddaughter's cross-country meet.
Hmm.
After that, stopped by the car show in Midwest Dream Car parking lot. Went home, watched the K-State football game. Ew, kept the attention till the last seconds. Later, then we went to church and out to eat. And then after that, we went to the Symphony on the Plaza, the Manhattan Symphony Orchestra playing in the Courthouse Plaza. The weather was great that evening and there was a large crowd. I mean, it was
Really?
filled. Yeah, it was really nice. They did a good job. And that's what I got.
Okay, Thursday afternoon, I met with Phil Anderson over at Anderson Knight Architects. Look at their new plan for the riverfront
Tracy.
development.
Tracy.
Tracy, yeah. They've done an excellent job in the long-range plan and they would like to do a presentation to the commissioners, the other two, and maybe in public. So I think there's some areas we could maybe get started on for the future, but not, I mean, it's a huge project. Anyway, Friday, I caught up on some work at home, did some planting. I can't stay out of the nursery. I gotta figure out what to do with these plants. Anyway, I'm about done, I think. I spent some time working in my office here and went over today's meeting documents, got up on emails and calls. I did receive a complaint from a business owner over in Village Plaza, which is off of Anderson, where all the construction is going on. And it is a mess. It's having effect on the business owners over there because there's not any good, really good entrances or any that are marked to get into the
You're
plaza.
not gonna be able to do it. You're just not. I talked to a couple people in the public works department over there and there's no easy way to do this other than just getting it done.
I know, they
it's-
could do a little, some signage, enter so that the people know where to get into the plaza.
So that's it. When we went
couple
into
of them.
Midwest Dream Car, went to come out, couldn't find a place to get
No,
out.
there's only a couple
Yeah.
spots. They did do a dirt one,
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
but I don't know if that's really open.
That first one on the east, it's so close to the intersection, it's hard to
yeah.
get out.
Mm.
No, it's really dangerous over there and I think I made a decision this morning to probably go out on
Go a different
scenic and
way.
come all the way around because it's just a very dangerous intersection.
You can come back up on scenic and take Avery right there by next to Fox Trough and kind of zigzag your back way around.
Yeah, either that or just come down, you just keep going on Fort Riley Boulevard. So I'm gonna have to time it and see how it works.
Do Claflin all the way up to Sunset and then come back up and around and zigzag there. That's the way I've been going.
Yeah, well, getting to Claflin is. The wreath isn't open. I guess I'd have to go up on, from where I
You
come.
can go up, yeah, you can go up
Oh.
scenic to Kimball and then Reef and then take it back up that way.
Probably.
That's a
easier just to
roundabout,
come.
but it's gonna be
I
easier,
know,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to time the one that Fort Riley, going to Fort Riley works pretty fast. So I'll have to check it. So
Right.
we'll see.
That's actually for sure what they did over there. They had that closed off for
Yeah. it's
6
not-
weeks too, and I don't even know what they did.
well, They
They put
filled the
like patches
holes again.
in. Okay.
So, anyway, then Saturday I planted the plants that I bought. I watched the football game with a friend and quite a cliffhanger. Fortunately, we pulled it out at the very end. So Sunday afternoon, I attended the opening of the Democratic headquarters over on Fort Riley Boulevard. A lot of people came through to volunteer, and I enjoyed catching up with a lot of people I hadn't seen for a long time. And that's all I have.
Okay, I gotta re-pull mine up and it's not wanting to work with me here. It's been kind of busy the last. Okay, here we go. Thursday afternoon, I had my monthly visit with my doctor. Also going pretty good. Actually, we figured out since the beginning of June, I'm down 26 pounds.
Good
So
for you.
going back the other way finally for the first time in a while, so that's good. It's also Thursday afternoon. There was a meeting of the Riley County Mental Health Task Force. Items of discussion included approval of the last month's meeting minutes, introduction of a couple of new members, an update from the Crisis Innovation Subcommittee, and the new members on this subcommittee, and what they'll be working on moving forward. Other discussions, including continued discussion and working and launching of local and regional mobile crisis, safe places to go, and the continued integration of 988 911 systems. Let's see. Friday morning, I met with Josh Brewer, Director of Habitat for Humanity of the Northern Flint Hills, to discuss some housing related issues and some programs here in the area, and discuss some possible options for workforce housing in the rural areas of Riley County, in particular over in the Ogden corridor. We had a really good discussion, come up with some creative thoughts and ideas. Now, getting those to come to fruition may be a challenge, but at least there's some things to discuss. Also on Friday, I did take a tour of the new, in process, I guess I should say, new EMS and ambulance headquarters over off Claflin. Wanted to say thanks to David Adams and members of the BHS team for walking around the site, answering some questions as we toured this. It's coming together fast, which is good. It was nice to finally see what it's actually going to look like, other than just, drawings and pictures and everything else. You can actually see kind of the footprint of it, and it's large.
That's just what I was gonna say. I think
Large.
I first went in, I was like,
I was kind of still concerned that maybe we're building something that they're gonna get into and basically be handcuffed, but I don't think so. They're gonna be good for decades.
Plenty
Yeah.
of room.
The bay space in there is just amazing, and then basically the footprint of the offices, got plenty of office space, conference space, and the living quarters, I think, might be a little tight maybe, moving forward, but I think they're gonna be able to make up for that one way or the other. Might have to move some part of a living quarter or something around or something, to get creative with it, but I think they're good for a long, long time.
you've seen where they're at right now, right?
Yes.
They're in closets now.
I see that being good for decades to come. So I walked away from that feeling really, really good. Like I said, I had to see it with my own eyes to kind of visualize it. And they're still working on it. They did a good job putting the drainage and the parking back there. They'll still be working on, but it's laid out really, really good. And I think it's going to work for a long, long time. So I should have that opportunity. Friday afternoon, I had my pre-law board meeting in advance of the September 16th, or next Monday's meeting. They'll take place in the city of Randolph. We'll have a rather large agenda compared to the last couple of meetings, but we spent some time discussing some other recent activities that have taken place here in the community and at the jail as well. Just trying to work through some of those things. It's interesting times that we live in, to say the least. Also on Friday, I attended the Standing Together to Promote Mental Health and Construction Forum at the new event space at the new foundation building of Bunkay State. It featured a moderated panel from both the local construction industry as well as the area mental health sector to discuss the challenges and issues the industry faces currently. We also heard 2 testimonials from Wayne Sloan from BMS Construction and Brian Fuhmiller from McCown Gordon Construction. It was a packed house. There was standing room only for this. So I had a really somber conversation, but given the subject, I guess, what can you expect? Had some good questions, had some good dialogue. It's going to be a yearly thing. So good to have the opportunity to be there to witness that. Saturday morning, watched the K-State Tulane game at home. Not an easy game to watch. Not an easy game to watch at all. I'm pretty sure my neighbors probably heard a few words they probably would have rather not heard, so, but it is what it is. But at least we came away with a victory in the end to start off the season 2-0, but as I mentioned earlier, the team maybe reminds me a little bit of the 2011 team, maybe. Well, it's gonna be cardiac cats. And I'm not gonna be able to handle that any better than I handled that 13 years ago, so we'll just see. Anyway, at least they won. Sunday afternoon, I attended the 9/11 Day of Remembrance and Family Event and Picnic at the Wee Fall Pavilion at City Park. We gave out nearly 400 pairs of shoes to needy kids in the community yesterday. Enjoyed some barbecue by RCPD. Big thanks to the K-State baseball team, the Clovia House up at the university, K-State Police Department, RCPD, Manhattan and Rural County Fire Departments for assisting with this event. It looked like it might have been like scheduled chaos at first, but it actually really came together well and it really worked out. I mean, there were some really happy kids along the way too. So yeah, it was really, really good. So, and with that, that's all I've got this morning.
So the commissioners know we have a birthday lady in our presence. It's Elizabeth Ward's birthday today.
Oh,
Happy birthday.
29, she says, so we'll see.
I'll be doing the same thing next Monday.
Good. Good. I had a little bit better weekend because, Huskers and the Celtics on Saturday. And I
Yeah,
got to watch it with Nebraska people. So
Yeah.
that's always fun.
Yeah.
Good.
I was actually rooting for Nebraska. on
Yeah,
Saturday.
Yeah, that's what I told her I was
Beat
too.
Rule and Riola, we might be having a good year.
If not this year, next year for sure. Big Ten's gonna be tough at the top. It's gonna be
That'll
really
be,
tough.
that'll be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Ready for business, commissioners?
Yeah.
First item I have, need a motion to approve Democratic Party Chair Carl Reed and Republican appointee Marvin Rodriguez to observe the destruction of the 2022 state general election votes.
And this is for which election now?
State 2022
Okay.
general. Sorry.
Well, I would make a motion to approve the Democratic Party Chair Carl Reed and the Republican appointee Marvin Rodriguez to observe the destruction of the 2022 state general election votes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve Democratic Party Chair Carl Reed and Republican appointee Marvin Rodriguez to observe the destruction of the 2022 state general election votes. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Fix something here. Next. Raleigh County Employee Action Forms, Sarah, Dalehouse, status change, full-time as needed paramedic, EMS ambulance department. Julie Winters, status change of retirement, administrative services manager, public works, 47 years.
47 years, my goodness.
Oh, that's unreal.
Holy moly.
Yeah, she told me the story about that. Was a previous county clerk that hired her and she couldn't find anything for Julie to fill out an application on, so she gave her like a napkin or something and said, write down your name and number.
Oh, that's great.
That's kind of how Elizabeth
That's a
does it
good
too now.
Yeah.
At least you moved on to like Big Chief tablets or something,
Right.
right?
She told me that story just like within the last month. Next we have Keisha Lawrence, MHS intern, Health Department separation of service. Tina Hebert, intern, Health Department separation of service. Julie Gibbs, Health Department administrator. Health Department separation of service. Shelley Hayes, administrative analysis in the Health Department separation of service. Megan Lewis, promotion, community corrections director, community corrections department. All three, please sign.
You've had a lot of activity on the personnel front.
Wait.
That's number 99.
Barbara, did you hear this now?
What?
She said it was missing.
Huh?
I said, I didn't hear the human resources director in that list. On my birthday. On my birthday. She
I
just
mean,
walked-
She said it.
I
I
know.
know she did. Might be careful eating that jambalaya.
Brought me birthday treats, I don't know about. this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna be the envy of. Brittany brought us crumble cake to celebrate a birthday, plus a whole pot of jambalaya for lunch today.
Oh my goodness, I'm coming
Isn't
over there.
Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds good.
Now,
picked the wrong department, Brian.
I'm
just.
Just ask Joe in our office. We call him like the human garbage disposal, and he's always smiling because we always have food. He's like, I hit the jackpot here.
Except in your office, it's always amazing food. It's
Yeah,
always amazing, yeah.
we got some good cooks.
I think that's part of his application.
I think it's- That's the
And you
secret
cook them, they're
happiness.
They have to bring in samples.
Yeah.
Like I say, people always think, I always look for small town Kansas or Nebraska type people. That's my preference. I'm a small town Kansas kid. People think it's because of the work ethic. It's because they can all cook.
Now we know.
There's method to the madness.
Yeah. Not a bad system.
All the board want to attend Good Morning Manhattan.
When is it?
19th,
Is it
same day as City County.
City County? Yep.
And do they have a speaker presentation or anything set up yet?
I do not know. I have not seen that. You want to go, Bryant?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't know on that either.
Yeah, put me down, but we'll see.
I'll go ahead and go to.
Okay.
Where is it? Do they say that?
It's always the same place.
4 points?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes they change.
Yeah, sometimes I do, but I haven't seen a change, so.
The city county is at 4, right?
Correct.
Is that here?
That I didn't check.
Yeah, we haven't had one.
I looked at it earlier.
For a while.
I'm not for sure
They
either.
keep canceling.
Yeah, well,
City offices.
not much to talk about. I'm not so for sure we need to have one this month either.
Maybe they can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that. We can talk about budgets. Yeah, there you go.
Maybe they can do that.
Yeah, they don't have it on the chamber calendar yet, so they must not have anything as far as speakers lined up.
I know. Had a discussion before, so who is the seniors, Lynn Berry or Julie Winter, who's been here longer?
I think Julie.
I think Julie,
Julie's-
but it'd be close.
It'll be what, 48 years?
And I
when
think
she
Lynn
retired.
started in the clerk's office as well.
Yeah, she's not officially county, but she's been in the building.
Mhm.
I knew she started.
Yeah. And it would
I
be.
know both of them have been here.
Mhm. And another long time, Bertram Manning out of Public Works.
Oh, really?
Any changes to the minutes, commissioners?
Didn't have anything.
I didn't see anything.
I'll move to approve the minutes of the September 5th meeting.
I would second that.
Moved in second to approve the minutes as written from the September 5th. 5th or 6th meeting of the Riley County Commission. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
How the
Actually
tentative,
writing numbers when I was saying that. Yeah,
how do the tentative agendas look, commissioners?
pretty tentative.
Any items for next week's press conference?
Good thing too.
Up next on year-to-date expenditure. You. Still having the. Go ahead and look at it. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I don't find this. Accent, like, sit on it, drive taxes back. Well, I did. It's all fun. Hard to remember to do everything, it gets busy. You said you might be in the same kind of position, sure.
It's talking about our little brief summary of budget. I tried to look up the cities. Got 50 pages of stuff. And, and it's, yes, I was trying to see, some stuff on it. It's got so many talking around this and that and everything with.
It's just, when I question Jason here, it just doesn't. Seriously, what the thought is, but it just. I'm getting the thing, it's just on the radio.
Okay,
And I'm not going to discuss it. It's I've seen the thing that AJ, it's now it's Vivi. So. Yeah, it's over.
yeah.
I don't know about it, Oh, goodness.
How are you?
All right, how are you going?
We're doing good. Rich.
Good morning, Commissioner Chris Barber, Raleigh County Clerk. First report's 2024 year-to-date wages and overtime compared to budget report. You can see in the upper right-hand corner of the 66.67% point in time of year. That's just what we use as our gauge to approximate where departments should be respectively within their budgets. You can see that in the far right column, those highlighted in the red are those that have exceeded that percentage. Just a little snapshot for us to be aware of and for the department to be aware of. Be sure to manage that within the calendar year.
Why is the museum up that high?
Who?
The museum
Museum.
showing a little over 70.
Yeah, I'd have to do some checking on that.
Okay.
On what it would be that high. The health department is due to 2 positions that were not budgeted.
I did that,
Go ahead.
but I think that's the elections. I don't think they're off one column, because when I looked at that, I specifically looked at that 70%. And elections is up significantly.
Yeah.
But they had approved positions
Okay.
after the budget was set. I can get that to you, Rich.
Okay, thanks. Thanks. Yeah, we'll check on that. We'll send you an email to update you on that, Commissioners.
And you said what on the health department? Sorry.
Due to 2 positions, there was an opioid position and then what's the other
All
position?
hands on.
All hands on deck, positions that were approved by the board, but not budgeted in the original budget, so that's why. Like to always look at the center column, the overtime spent as compared to a percent of wages, of course, the one that stands out all the time, the MSD ambulance, but that is budgeted overtime. So that is expected. The other departments, everyone's doing pretty good so far, you know, coming into the fall, winter season and spring, sometimes when we can get more overtime with the solid waste, public works. Those departments that deal with those, situations Mother Nature throws at us sometimes at this time of year, so we'll see how that goes. We're sitting pretty good so far. Any questions on that first page there, Commissioners? Next page is just a little bit more detailed breakdown, regular salaries, seasonal overtime for those respective departments. You get a snapshot of where they are. Any questions, of any of those? Next report's 2024 year-to-date budget activity report. Once again, using that 66.7% percentage, those highlighted in the blue are those that have exceeded or above that at this point in time. Of course, any of these, all of these on the first page within the general fund overall, so it had to be an overall general fund overage as far as expenditures for it to be any type of budget violation. These individual departments would not. Always like to point out 2 lines below that boldest, the lower 2 lines that are in blue. The county general just 13.62%, atypically low, of course, because that's where we have our budget stabilization. Any questions on that, Commissioners, on the first page? Next page is same, those that are highlighted in the blue, for those that have exceeded that point in time. There's a couple in community corrections that are high that I'm sure we'll have to do budget amendments on. The typical process that we Brittany will bring to you at the end of the year. Be sure we're in compliance budgetarily. Any questions on those, Commissioners?
Yeah, Rich, now, some of those are actually covered under grants that we've approved that would not show up yet, correct?
Yeah, even if they're grants, like sometimes, I mean, that's the exact case in point with health department, you know, we got those 2 positions based on grants. And since if we didn't have the grant when we budgeted and it's added, so it would not be in there. And so
Okay.
that's why it wouldn't look like they're over their budget, but as long as they have enough cash on hand. So we gotta watch 2 sides. We gotta make sure they have the budget authority and the cash on hand. As long as they have the cash on hand, Brittany will come back with a budget amendment to adjust that. That way we can live within the Kansas statutes to say they have the authority. And that's what a budget amendment does. When it wasn't originally approved in the original budget or exceeds that, it gives the board the opportunity to amend that budget. That way we comply.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yep, for sure. Good point. Good point. Appreciate it. RCPD, you can see there, Commissioners, as you'll see later on down the line, inmate medical expenses, they are high. They won't be continue to get higher. But we'll review that here in a little bit more. Any other questions on that page, commissioners? Once again, I think you guys remember those highlighted in that black box are all community corrections, juvenile intake related.
Yeah.
That's a requirement this year of
We'll
having
back
those
up
all
to that.
separated, having those all separated out. That's a requirement of the state now. Next, these are all enterprise funds. Enterprise funds do not derive any of their revenues from ad valorem taxes. It's all from fees or special assessments. You can see right now, they're all sitting in good shape at this point in time. Any questions on those? Next report's a comparison, August to August and also year to date through August for all of the respective departments. Just a little snapshot for the board to take a look and see how everyone's doing compared to the previous year. Any questions on those? Next one's a little bit more detailed breakout of county general personnel, contractual commodities, miscellaneous, which is the budget stabilization and capital outlay. Personnel, that is just for separation of service. Compensation, no one gets paid out a regular salary or wages out of there on a monthly basis. Budget stabilization is at 4 million. That's why it's atypically low overall at 13.62% that has been spent compared to most of the other budgets. Any questions on that, commissioners? And next, the fund one, it gets expensive quickly. This is 2024 year-to-date expenses for all of those first quarter, third quarter, and then monthly. I like this next snapshot a little bit better, give you a comparison where we sit 2020 to 2024. You can see the position where we're at right now, and even compared to last year, which was a high year. Or just at the beginning of September, so. I can see us needing to do a budget amendment in that fund for sure for RCPD. Building maintenance right now isn't too bad, but that can change in a hurry with building maintenance in a facility that size. Everything else looks good. It's just inmate medical due to average daily population and the high cost of psychotropic drugs for inmates. Any questions on that, commissioners? Here's the ACH breakdown. So the commissioners know we've just Clancy, Brittany, myself, and Mr. French with RCPD have just finalized working on renewing that contract for the remainder of this year and for next year with the addition of another half-time nurse to provide those services at RCPD. So those costs will be going up more next year again. Gary did a good job in acknowledging what we did, but how difficult it is when all costs are going up to keep those expenditures low. A lot of it's out of our control. Hopefully, average daily population at some point will level out, maybe even go down a little bit, but I don't know. See, we're at 119 right now. That's high. And we have a few female inmates that are being housed off
We have
site that we have to
six.
pay for those costs.
We have 6 female inmates that are in Washington County. Because we've maxed out the pod.
And that's an additional cost we have to pay.
16 is what it handles. We've stretched it to 19, and then we've got, there might be 4 at the moment, 23 or 25.
Goodness.
Yeah, that one's gone up quick.
We had a few more arrests this weekend.
That budget is one, I'm sure, did a comparative analysis based on year in and year out on percentage going up, kind of to Gary's, please. Its percentage increase annually way exceeds any other departments. For sure. Any questions, commissioners? We'll get that clarification on the percentage and email you guys on that. You guys look through it, have any other questions, just let us know. We'll be sure to find the answer for you.
Okay, sounds
Next.
good.
Commissioner, yeah, I will this call at 9:15.
Okay, Mike. We're ready for you.
Good morning.
Morning.
To give you an update on a few things, and share some information with you. I guess, I don't know if you can call these goodies or bedtime read,
Okay.
but, so this is the Mental Health America report, state of mental health. And that is issued by Mental Health America every year. There's also same day access, flyer for our same day access program at 1558 Hayes Drive. And there's also a brochure for our recovery services. And so let me just tell you a little bit about Mental Health America, state of mental health report. And I also have my colleague Eric Martin, recovery services manager, and you know, if you don't mind, I would like to have him present a little bit on our recovery services program. We also have Mr. Stan Wilson. He's a board member and a supporter of our cause and our mission. So Mental Health America, State of Mental Health Report, this is released every year. Mental Health America has been in business for about 100 years now, over 100 years. And the issue a report, the report ranks states, all the states in our country in regards to access and 15 different other elements. So the 2022 edition of this report ranked Kansas 51, which was not great in mental health. The great news that the 2024 report ranks Kansas 22. So this is 29 ranks up, and this is a big success for us in the state of Kansas and everyone in the mental health field. So a couple of takeaways, we're among the high states ranked that have not expanded Medicaid. The report talks about that. And for example, access to care ranking, we are ranked 35 in page 14. This has to do with access to treatment and access to health insurance. In page 23, regarding uninsured adults with mental illness, the report indicates that 9 of 10 states that have not expanded Medicaid are ranked low between 39 and 51. Kansas ranked 32. The great news is, and this is to celebrate, that on page 20, we are ranked 5th for youth ages 6 to 17, and this is something to really celebrate here in Kansas. And this is something that is credited to the good work that is done in school-based services, that is done with children's services across the state for anyone that provides behavioral health and mental health across the state. I would also like to give a shout out to our team at Pawnee Mental Health for their tireless work. They serve over 7,000 individuals needing mental health every year. Another shout out to our colleagues at KDADS, Kansas Department of Aging and Disability Services. They have been very supportive of the CCDHC Certified Community Behavioral Health Clinic model expansion in the state of Kansas, as well as the Association of Community Mental Health Centers in the state of Kansas, and our 25 CMHC's community mental health centers in Kansas. All have been big supporters of the expansion of the Certified Community Behavioral Health. Yeah. There are statistics and they're striking. I would encourage you to please read this report. And in 2022, these are statistics from the 2024 report that we have. In 2022, had the highest number of deaths by suicide ever reported in the US.
5% of adults and 13% of youth reported in the report experiencing serious thoughts of suicide. 23% of adults experienced a mental illness in the past year. This is equivalent to 60 million Americans. 18% of adults in the US had a substance use disorder in the past year. 77% of them did not receive treatment. Striking. 1 in every 5 youth had at least one major depressive episode in the past year. Nearly 3 million youth did not receive treatment. 1 in 4 adults with frequent mental distress could not see a doctor due to cost, and this is a 2% increase over last year's report. 10% of adults and 8.5% of youth still have private insurance that does not cover mental health. There are 340 people for every one mental health provider in the US, and this is there's a huge gap. We try, and every one of the mental health professionals try, but there's a huge gap in this area. I'm going to talk about National Recovery Month, but the month of September is celebrated nationally as Suicide Prevention Month and National Recovery. I'm going to let my colleague Eric Martin talk a little bit about our recovery services program, but I want to go over a couple of things with you. When it comes to suicide prevention, again, Suicide Prevention Month is the month of September. This is a time to remember the lives lost to suicide. In the state of Kansas, in between 2011 and 2022, KDHE has data and statistics on their website. And let me just share with you that the state of Kansas between 2011 and 2022 lost 6,051 lives to suicide. Our 10-county service area for Pawnee Mental Health, lost 340 lives to suicide. Riley County lost 100 lives to suicide, according to KDHE data between 2011 and 2022. Suicide is a leading cause of death in the US. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, leading causes of death report in 2021. Suicide was the 11th leading cause of death overall in the US, claiming the lives of 48,100 people. Suicide was the second leading cause of death among individuals between the ages of 10 to 14 and 25 to 35. And this is a big number. The third, or a big ranking rather, the third leading cause of death among individuals between the ages of 15 and 24, and the fifth leading cause of death among individuals between the ages of 35 and 43. In 2021, there was nearly 2 times as many suicides at 48,183 in the US as there were homicides at 26,031 homicides. We have same-day access. We're here to tackle this. We're here to contribute to the well-being and safety of our community. You have the same-day access flyer. If you please post this here, and I'm going to ask you for something else too, but also our phone number. Anyone can call us, 785-587-43. Our same-day access services, people anyone interested in new service, they can call the number, they can walk in at 1558 Hayes Drive as well as multiple other locations across Pawnee and Hopewell. And we have that available throughout the week. I also want to put a plug, and everyone knows about our crisis services and CSU. Anyone in crisis can walk into 1558 Hayes Drive and get assessed. If they meet the criteria for admission, they get admitted to CSU if there is a benefit. A couple of plugs for other happenings at Pawnee. We have our Inspiring Hope and Health 2024 event. This used to be Driving the Dream. This is on a less this is on a happy note, not a sad note, as we were talking about society rates, but Inspiring Hope and Help event. We announced the Inspiring Hope and Help event for 2024. This is our premier fundraiser, formerly known as Driving the Dream, in our Foundation's March newsletter. We presenting fund. The event will be scheduled for Thursday, November 7th, 5:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Kansas State Culinary Center at 1720 Anderson Ave. We would like to, invite anyone who to attend and participate. As I have mentioned, that the month of September is Recovery Month. I also have here the proclamation, Recovery Month proclamation. Respectfully asking that you sign 2 copies, one you keep and one we keep. And if you don't mind taking a picture and showing your support for the work we do in Recovery Month, and we appreciate it.
We usually go through a different process for those.
No.
We usually put those in our actual Monday morning press conference
Okay.
and actually sign those. So you might get just get it with Cindy on that,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, get Cindy Cabrel in our office and she'll get it on the commission's agenda, just approve that proclamation and have it on that same day's press conference at 9:30.
Um,
And we've done that in the past.
Oh,
So
mhm.
it's not new.
it's a new process for me.
That's okay.
Yeah. Any questions?
I can see we're moving up in the rankings.
Everyone's up in the rank.
Pretty bad.
Yeah, it is sad that, we have.
I think, 8-10 years ago, we were in the top 15 type of range, and the fall back that far is bad, just bad.
But the good news is we're 22
Mhm.
and next year, hopefully higher,
Yeah, I have a quick question here on the same day access walk-in clinic. You're showing in Manhattan, that's over on Hayes Drive. Do they accept walk-ins for everyone, or I thought it was an emergency basis?
So at 1558 Hayes Drive, we have crisis services
Mhm.
and we have same day access. We
Oh,
co-locate
okay.
same day access with crisis services because they complement each other in that way. So usually the wait time for private practices, other practices and other folks who provide mental health services, it can be several weeks. Same day access, anyone walks in. And this is the beauty of the CCBHC model, the Certified Community Health Clinic model, is people don't need to wait. They go through the admission process, which they sign paperwork, and they get connected to other services. So when someone walks in for same day access, they are met with the admissions team, they complete a packet, they make referrals to other services, and then they see a therapist.
Okay,
And
yeah, I was just, trying to clarify that, so.
we see anyone regardless of their ability to pay into their place of residence. If someone is from an outside area, we still see them, and we refer them to their CCBHs.
And the other locations that their address is online.
The other locations for same-day access, and I can give you those as well. So we have in Concordia, we have in Junction City, in Clay Center, Marysville, Wamego, in all of these locations. And I can give you the times, but those are available on.
Well, I was just wondering if the location and the time was online. It's on this other one.
Here, yeah.
Oh, okay, here we go.
go.
Okay.
Here.
All right, I hadn't seen this. All right, thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like to present my colleague, Eric Martin, and you can talk a little bit about recovery strategies.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Yeah, my name's Eric Martin. I'm the Recovery Services Manager. So we'll just kind of quickly go over just a snapshot of our program. So our recovery program consists of clinicians, also peer support and case managers, and also our newly developed housing manager who manages our sober living house, which I'll talk about quickly in a minute. But our team is thriving. We are seeing an increase in the number of clients that we serve. We are seeing an increase in the number of referrals being sent to us, both internally and externally. And because we serve 10 counties and because we have the telehealth options available both for individual and group counseling, we're seeing an influx. And so, oftentimes in the past, pre-COVID, it was difficult for most clients to come from, say, the Western region and get services because of just travel time. But because of the telehealth options, we've been able to reach more clients, and it's been a great shift for us to see. And our therapists and clinicians and case managers have been doing really well in addressing those needs. As a lot of you probably know, we do have a newly developed men's sober living house in the last 2 years. And, we have 6 beds available, and there are criteria that you have to meet and certain expectations that have to be met for you to stay at the house. But we have seen wonderful successes in the house, wonderful successes, men addressing their sobriety, but over the course of about 3 months, they're able to secure employment, secure housing, secure other connections to when they're ready to move out. They're doing well. We have many clients who are still to this day post sober living house stay, maintaining employment, maintaining sobriety, and still in treatment, which is great. They're still connecting to us because once they move out, it's not like their journey's over, right? It's a continual journey for these clients to be on. We're like I said before, we're seeing an increase in services, and Pawnee's, we see over the last fiscal year, I believe, saw over 7,000 people walk through our doors, both through all the programs, and we're seeing those with mental health concerns are also those struggling with addiction and with recovery, and so our team is working hard to address both mental health and addiction piece, because it really goes hand in hand often. Where someone struggling with depression is going to kind of use the addiction piece to cope with that. And so our clinicians are doing well in addressing both sides of the equation for that. We are, as a program, always looking for, with same day access, if you're struggling with an addiction, you can go to our same day access clinic and be assessed and get in treatment pretty darn quickly. And so we're here and ready to address any and all addiction concerns. And I thank you for your time. And, if you have any questions, I can address those.
Good.
All right.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you all so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, running a little bit behind, but Amanda.
Good morning, commissioners. Just wanted to talk again about the local environmental protection program, the LEPP grant that we have available right now. Just a reminder that is a $50,000 grant that we have that money to help low and moderate income property owners with repair and replacement of their wastewater systems or components. We have our first application period open. It's open through October 4th, 2024. However many applications we get are able to help during that period, we'll then open additional application windows because we really just want to spend as much money as possible helping people fix their systems. Information for that, we have an application and again, there's an informational brochure or flyer, if you will, available on our website. You can also call planning and development. You can come visit us. You can email me. Any way we can to help get that information out to people and get that application out there to get that filled out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Amanda, are you getting any applications so far?
I've gotten one so far.
Okay,
Again, I'm hoping to get plenty more so we can again help as many people as possible and spend all this money. But right now I just got the one.
okay, thank you.
Captain French?
Mark French with the Raleigh County Police Department. I'm going to talk to you about your jail again this month, try to make that appointment once a month. And really like to thank Commissioner McKinley for coming down week and a half ago for a tour. Appreciate it. Give you an update. Our population today is at 124. We are not seeing the downturn that we were anticipating. We are holding 29 females in Raleigh County custody. The facility is set up for a maximum of 18. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about briefly. And then I'd really like to thank Vargo, Councilor Holman, Brittany for making a lot of progress on a contract with ACH. I think it's going to be long overdue, but very impressed with how quick they were able to do this process. So I very much appreciate it. So do the employees of the Raleigh County Jail. We hope to see that, and we hope to see forward with that mental health contract with Bonnie. That's the next on our agenda to tackle. The female population, 29 females, is I thought we would drop. I honestly did. There's no reason for this high of a spike nationwide. It's 10%. We're over almost 100% from a couple of years ago. So the reality is, long term, we're going to evaluate cost effectiveness. We're housing so many inmates outside of our facility now because the facility is not set up to deal with it. We're going to develop a plan to maybe change some of how our pod is set up. I'm gonna give it Fargo and see if maybe we can get somebody with the county to sit on this working group. The one-time expenditure may offset monthly payments for who knows how long. We don't know yet if it's feasible, but it is definitely worth looking at for saving taxpayer money at this point. I don't see any reprise in the near future. We've got another one coming in from LA. We're expected to get in the next 4 to 5 days. So it's just it's a problem we monitor, and I want to keep reporting it to you. So it's not an out of the blue, when we start receiving invoices for housing quite a few inmates now outside.
Is there a certain pattern or certain?
We can establish nothing. If we could, I would be more, we're looking at it. I researched with our pharmaceutical company to pull up if they're seeing more of an increase. They're one of the few people that can track inmate population across the United States for large pharmaceuticals that cater to jail. So they can get real-time data on if there's an increase in males, females, certain prescriptions, that kind of stuff. And they are cooperating, and we're finding out nothing, I'll be honest. Nationwide looks like about a 10%, maybe a little more, based off that data. Some other data through the prison system suggest more of an increase on female population, but what we're having, I don't have an explanation. But I can tell you this we are not set up to deal with this. So we're working on it. Yes.
Yeah, do you have any idea what the highest incarceration would be? Like, is it for burglary or is it for drug use, or you've got to have some idea on what people are,
Yeah,
females
I get a
are,
report every day that gives the charges for what we're housing. There's no. We are housing females now for more severe crimes, which is showing a longer incarceration rate locally and
Okay.
a longer court proceedings because of the nature of the crime. They're not pleading out quickly or anything of that nature. We're seeing that across our entire facility. We've got it made in our facility over 3 years now. These jails were never designed, county jails were designed, with an average stay of 4 months, maybe less. And then your maximum will be 18 months, but with the court and COVID, we still have not quite caught up. It's looking better in some of those cases, but we still have these isolated cases where we are doing some creative things to save taxpayers' money. We did Sunday night football last night. We were allowed inmates to buy 2 pieces of pizza in a pop, and 100% of the profit that is made out of that will go into exercise equipment that we'll put in the outdoor yard. So we're not coming to the taxpayers asking for those kind of upgrades. We're doing them internally, trying to do what we can. And it's one of those things that helps people deal with the stress and anxiety of being locked up in a jail that's, and we've talked before, some of you that are toured, at 120, we're kind of at our max due to our classification system. Even if it is a 147 bed facility, at 120, we're really starting to run into issues and have to move people around to try to eliminate anxiety thoughts like that. So we are making progress, and like I said, anytime you have additional questions, please feel free to reach out, come down, take a walk, buy lunch. But that's all I've got for today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
Russell, you're up next.
Burning service. Join small. Morning, Commissioners. Russell Stuckey with Riley County Emergency Management and Riley County Fire District Number 1. Joining us, we have Luke Burning with the Kansas Forest Service online there. First, I'll just go over our monthly staff report. Fairly normal stuff. A few things to highlight. We're still working on our April cyber incident with Brittany and the insurance company and the police department. The police report completed, getting all that submitted to insurance. So hopefully those efforts are fruitful. We've started up, as you know, home football games, and so that's added to our meeting list and a little bit of effort to help with parking and traffic control on what we do with the emergency management side of it. Met with the FEMA branch of CISA, which is the Cyber Information Security Administration, and they should be putting together a good after action report for the incident for us to learn from and continue to improve upon. On the emergency management side, we got our outdoor warning siren controller upgrade project that you approved several months ago as a CIP project. That's completed and up and running, which gives us the ability now to know when the AC power or DC power or charger operation fails at any given siren. It lets us know if somebody's trying to tamper with it by opening a door. Then it also gives us an alternate path to activate those sirens if the radio consoles and dispatch are down. So it makes the outdoor warning siren, which is what we use it for the most, is obviously severe weather and tornadoes, but They can be used for other things, but it makes that system much more robust than it was previously. Staff and I, we've worked with the Kansas Forest Service and Luke, who's joined us on our Community Wildfire Protection Plan, which I'll go over here next. We hosted our first annual firefighter appreciation picnic at Keats Park. We had approximately 90 firefighters and family members attend. And it was a good event. Another way to say thanks to the volunteers for all the time and effort they spend, especially during grass season, which is traditionally our busiest time of the year. And we decided to do that, kind of to complement the appreciation banquet we do in January, do something kind of mid-year. And we'll kind of rotate them from the north part of the county to the south part of the county. We'll do one in the north and one in the south. Something the staff and I have been working on is our fire reporting software is sunsetting sometime next year. So we're being forced to have to pick a new fire reporting software. I think the cheapest one that we found so far is about double what we pay now, which now we pay roughly $3,000. The cheapest one we found so far is going to be about $7,000 a year. So up to sky's the limit, but it's probably going to be, the first one, I think we got a quote for 50,000 on, so the first time we asked for a quote and we're like, I think you were talking about big cheap tablets earlier.
Mhm. Smoke signals or something. Well, maybe in your business. Let's not
Not a
do
good
that.
So, we're continuing to research that, figure out which the best way to go is. In that items waiting legal review, I should have taken A off of it, if that actually had been completed. So, but we have found a little bit of a snag here in the last couple of days with the water line that goes across that property at UP and no existing easement. So working with Bryant and everybody else to try and figure out what the best solution to move forward and not delay the project is. So we'll be working on that later today. On that also, we did get a quote from the contractor that built the Ashland station, and he said it'd be approximately a 5% increase just to go with them. And so if the commission has, some direction, if they would like to do the full rebid process and all, and that expense, or if you're comfortable with just updating the pricing from the current contractor that we've been working with. We've talked about it before, but.
Oh, I thought that's what we
But there has
decided.
been no decision.
Okay.
And so I don't know if the commission is prepared to give us direction on that. If you want a full rebid process, or if you just want to go with basically the same thing we did at Action.
Well, you need to get that on the agenda and not just pop it on them, make a
That's what
decision.
I'm asking. Do you want that on, what do you want on the agenda?
Put that on the agenda for that discussion and we can make it. Discuss it, make a motion.
So we have the run reports in there, pretty typical stuff for this time of year. And I don't know if you have any questions on any of that. And if not, then we can move on to the any questions on the monthly report.
No.
Then we can move on to the community wildfire protection plan. No questions, then so Luke Burning, as I said, is online with us from the Kansas Forest Service. He's been instrumental working with my staff, in particular Michelle, on developing this community wildfire protection program, not program, plan. And the purpose of the plan is to give, direction to homeowners and government agencies in the county on things that can be done to make the community more wildfire resistant, make fires easier to, we know there's gonna be fires, but make them easier to contain, control, gain access to. There's things about making your driveway fire truck friendly. We have a lot of driveways in the county that quite frankly, we can't get down with some of our bigger fire trucks. And so the only thing that's gonna be able to get down that driveway is a little pickup. That's not gonna protect the house or let alone put out a house fire very well. And so as you flip through that plan, there's around 90 pages altogether. Page 49, I believe, it lists out, by having this plan in place, it lists some of the different federal funding opportunities they are, but you can't apply for these grants if you don't have a plan in place. And so the two main things for this plan is to educate and give ideas to people on what to do to make us more protected from wildfires. And then the second part of this plan is to make us eligible to apply for those grant fundings to do some of those projects. Luke, would you like to add anything or touch on anything, highlight anything I mentioned or mention anything that I missed?
I think you did a great job of covering it, Russell. This is a really important step. The federal government is really moving towards their wildfire risk reduction grants, their fuels grants. They want to see these plans in place before they give any funding to communities. It shows that we've taken the time to sit down and think what would really be beneficial for this community. We're not just asking for money and we'll tell you how to spend it. We've already thought out what would be the greatest benefit to the community. We've laid that out in the plan, and so this is just an important step for the future and accessing funding in the future, and for educating residents of the county and stakeholders in the county on what can they actually do to reduce their risk. So no, you did a great job covering it, Russell. I'd sure be happy to answer any questions at any point too.
What kind of dollars are we talking about in grants? What would they allocate once we have this plan in place?
You want to speak to that, Luke?
Sure. So the grant, the Community Wildfire Defense Grant, which would be our primary target, individual projects are limited to $10 million per project. There is a 10% match required on fuels projects through that grant. However, underserved communities can apply for a match waiver, and Riley County qualifies as an underserved community according to the CGES, the tool that the federal government uses to determine underserved communities. And so we would certainly be applying at that. So the potential, the pie in the sky dream would be having access to $10 million a year at no cost to the county. Of course, we'd then have to manage a $10 million project. And so to begin with, we would certainly shoot a little lower and get things figured out. But that's the kind of dollars that we're talking here.
I would guess California might be more on the top of the list for the 10 million than we would be here in Washington.
What were the numbers, Luke? Wasn't it like the total funds available was $500 million and then 500 million, and then if you have a roof, a law that basically bans having a shake shingle roof, or a state that has that is eligible. All the money's eligible to those states, and if you don't have I forget what the terminology for that law was.
Just a roofing ordinance.
Yeah, which basically says shake shingle roof, which we don't have, so that limits us to being eligible than the $250 million pool. Nationwide, there's 500 million, isn't that right, Luke? And then
Yeah.
we're eligible
Yeah.
out of the 250 because Kansas does not have that one.
And we have been successful with these grants in the past. And so we do, certainly the Western states take a large share of the funding, but we have been successful in getting funding out of this grant before. So I would certainly be hopeful.
Good.
Any other questions?
And then with those grants, some of it's education, but also some clearing.
Yeah, so
I didn't read all 90
90
pages, but I tried to skim through some of the highlights.
So like some things, and Luke can, feel free to add in, some things that can be done or getting monies to either help pay for road or public works to cut trees back off the road so they aren't overhanging the roads and clear our easements. Some, and then there can be projects done on private property to help establish fire breaks, especially to try and create a fire break that connects this property to another property. And so there could be something done in conjunction with the Corps of Engineers. If they got a fire break running up to their property line to here, then we could apply for grant funds to take that fire break across private property and maybe connect it over to this road or to this other property that already has a fire break or some of those kind of things. Do you have anything, other ideas on that, Luke? Those are some of the main ones that I've picked up on.
That would certainly be for Riley County. Those would be my suggested priorities. You can also, the grant is very flexible. You can do a lot. It's kind of what can't you do rather than what can you do. Big things you can't do is you can't make improvements to homes. You can't give people new fire resistant roofs or anything like that. And it's pretty tough to buy equipment with the grant. Other than that, it's pretty wide open as far as what would be beneficial for your community to reduce risk. So education, absolutely. Putting in fuel breaks, working on roadsides, absolutely.
And so you can rent equipment and or pay contractors to do the work. And I think, can you so if Public Works did the work, you could rent the equipment if they needed special equipment for them to do the work. I don't know if their time's reimbursable or not.
Yeah.
Or if that would be considered the in-kind matching.
That would depend on whether we got the match waiver and needed to prove any match. However, I would expect that on most projects, on a 10% match, we would cover that pretty quickly with county salaries, and so then the grant would cover the time, the wages for any county workers that were doing grant work, project work. So it can absolutely be used to rent equipment and to reimburse for time spent on the project.
And that could be things as simple as having a chipper shredder company have, a place where people can bring branches and everything and then chip it and shred it. They'll pay for that. The community does their tree trimming and then bring stuff in and have it chipper shredder set up. Any other questions? I think there's a motion.
Well, I would make a motion to approve the adoption of the Community Wildfire Protection Plan.
A second.
They moved in second to approve the adoption of the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. Any other questions for me? Thanks, Luke.
Thank you all. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Anna Burson. Morning, Anna.
Morning. I'm Burson with Riley County Appraisers Office. Here with the monthly staff update. So for September, our personal property team is entering personal property accounts as we receive updates. We're scanning our real estate records as part of that digital process that we've discussed, also assisting the residential team as needed in various processes. as we are looking to refill those positions. Additionally, we're reviewing our processes as it relates to personal property manufactured homes and the recent personal property legislative changes that have occurred. On agricultural use, we're reviewing properties due for their annual reinspection, processing those land delineations from the returned agricultural use maps. As we're receiving those back. On the residential side of things, there are approximately 674 residential homes so far for 2024. The median sale price is at $234,000 and the average sale price is $264,604. Our sales ratio is currently standing around 94%. Our team's reviewing sales. We're roughly 86% with the annual review process of those properties that are due for reinspection. We're reviewing and processing questionnaires and green cards that are sent out. We have 4 residential small claim hearings that were pending. 3 are awaiting scheduling. That 4th one we were waiting for the results on, but they did come back last week, at the end of last week. And county value was sustained. So on the commercial side of things, our commercial teams completed land analysis. They're preparing for the BOTA hearings. They're reviewing the sales, completing AR, working on depreciation and preparing for tenant interviews. Those income and expense questionnaires will be reviewed and processed as we receive them. And then that next slide is going to just show that commercial BOTA update. Really the notable thing on here is the 2018 Home Depot that was remanded back to the Board of Tax Appeals. The briefs have been filed by council, and I believe we are scheduled for oral arguments in November. So I hope to have a decision. We can wishfully hope before the end of the year, but likely only after the first of the year. Other business, the NAGRO conference. This is just a summary of some of the things at the NAGRO conference. Kathy Groover, she is an internationally recognized speaker with expertise in stress management, communication, motivational powerhouse and writer. Several breakout sessions attended throughout that conference. Once I returned from that conference, I was involved in a roundtable discussion with Dr. Stanley Longhofer and the Flint Hills Realtors Association, just relating to the market here in the northeast part of Kansas, the Flint Hills region, kind of seeing what the builders are saying, what are we seeing, low supply, high demand. As we've kind of said over and over, still seems to be the case. Overall, I shared roughly, looks like roughly a 6% trend so far from the analysis we started, but we're still working through that. None of that is finalized at this time. Then went to the Denver conference. In Denver, the Denver Broncos legend and Pro Football Hall of Fame, Terrell Davis, was our opening and keynote speaker. They tied his presentation was largely just tied to resilience, overcoming challenges. It was all tied into the leadership side of things. It was a really good session overall. And then many sessions throughout the week. These are just some of the different sessions that were available and that I attended. One thing that was a lot heavier this year than in prior years was a lot of discussion as it relates to AI. Challenges, concerns, and discussions. So there's quite a bit on that, as well as the Women's Initiative luncheon took place as well. And so, like I said, we're just processing, trying to work through all of the things that we do this time of year for the appraiser's office. This is our busiest time of year. We're trying to wrap up inspections as well as get the analysis completed as we prepare for valuation for 2025. And so again, this is the BOTA update. It's shown just a little bit, not a whole lot. We're trying to get closer to that one page again someday. Do you guys have any questions at all for me on this?
Value in question keeps going up though.
Yes, 24. When you add 2024, some of those historic years have been removed. Yes, that is changing.
Close to $500 million.
Yep. And that's because of all the 2024s that have now gone on. And unfortunately, we've got multiple years instead of like the 4 years. Now we've got 5 years for some of these big appeals. Just trying to get those scheduled, heard, and get some decisions back. Any other questions for me? Well, thank you, commissioners. I got you guys.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll get it. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, they didn't have a stand this, no. Scott, how you doing?
Good, good. How are you?
Good.
Well,
Until Thursday, I did.
Go ahead.
All right, good morning, Commissioners. Elizabeth Ward, Human Resources Director, and I'm here to request that we open the position of Health Department Director to fill with review as soon as we start receiving applications and open until filled. There are a couple changes. This position previously had been called the Health Department Administrator, but to align it with our programs, really that's a holdover from when the program was absorbed with the city-county agreement. So to align it with our programs, we renamed it the Health Department Director. And then I've also consolidated some of those job duties because again, a lot of them were a holdover from the past. So they talked specifically about focusing on the city and the county. And, you know, obviously the city of Manhattan is part of Riley County, so we'll just think about that. It also gave the previous administrator different duties because it was a standalone administration versus under the county. So we just did some things to align that with the actual job duties. And other than that, the position is included in our 2024 and 2025 approved budget. I gave you the annualized wage there. So the mid-range is 174. I don't expect to get that high on it. You can see on the sheet that I attached, we did equivalent of 3 years external experience. So that would put it at that just under 145 annualized. It will depend on the experience that we get. You know, if we have someone who has adequate experience to the job description itself, we'll evaluate that. But that's how we would propose to advertise the position. Any questions or anything that else you would like to discuss?
So changing it to director means that they're directly responsible to the Board of County Commissioners in the future.
Yes, I made sure to add a lot of that verbiage in there. I mean, it was implied and understood, but we took out the city part and the city county part and put in directly to the county commissioner. And you can see throughout, if you looked at the job description, I added this, like the first line, on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners. And then throughout, it talks about being the Riley County Health Department. And so there were things, again, previous to 2012, when they were added, where this person had to be the PIO. And so they would make actual announcements and they would do media, whereas now they need to work with our PIO to do that. And same thing, like deciding positions, deciding hiring, deciding budgeting, they would work with Brittany or myself. And so I think those things is how we were functioning, but I needed it to be in the job description. So we tried, and usually when we have a position hasn't been evaluated in several years, we do kind of have to add those things. You know, the PIO was it's a brand new position in Riley County still, so it hadn't been filled with that. And I don't want to make it a little bit more clear about the scope of responsibility.
Shouldn't that also list like some verbiage in there about Board of County Health?
Well, so we kind of looked at that, and the Board of County Health, and Clancy might be able to speak on it, I'm calling him out unawares, but we've talked in the past that the Board of County Health is an extension of the Board of County Commissioners here, and so I left it as the Board of County Commissioners, because you then do recess as
Commissioners Clancy Holman.
This is just such a weird, such a weird position how the state is statutorily put it together.
It's a little bit counterintuitive, but really, we go through when you recess as the county commission and go into the Board of Health, that was at the request of KEC a number of years. I still think it's a good idea. It emphasizes to the public, you serve as the Board of Health. So if you did not do that, if you didn't, and some counties don't, they don't bother. And I think they're missing an opportunity to highlight for the public one of the key roles of the county commission, but that's for them to decide. It would still be valid. You still have valid decisions, and there's no question that the health department answers to the Board of County Commissioners, but this makes it very explicit. And it goes to kind of what Elizabeth was describing, making sure that the structure of the organization is very clear, that the chain of command goes up from that department, as it does in all departments, directly here. So I think it's a good change. You lose nothing. Because you're still presumably going to recess as the Board of County Commissioners when you make decisions on the health department, but you don't.
I wondered if that was a leftover from when it was city and county. That's not, it's
Not
a
really.
state thing.
More so, it's KDC had just suggested it. And it was, I think it was after the time in 2012, when you inherited the health department.
If I may.
No questions from
Yeah.
anybody.
Well, I just wanted someone I just wanted to make sure that our esteemed county counselor is here to correct me if somehow I'm misinterpreting something, but while the updating of this position description to make even more clear that the Riley County Health Department Director serves at the pleasure and under the direction of the governing body, right? Well, that's a change that very much reflects our organizational practice and what it has been. It, even prior to this being on the books as our position description, it's been abundantly clear throughout our documents that even operating prior to this, that the health department director is under the supervision and direction of the Board of Health and or the Board of County Commissioners. That's been clear throughout our documents. So this is just making that position description more easily for the reader reference that. Isn't that accurate to say, guys? Okay, I just wanted to make sure that so that everybody knew this isn't a change. It's been like this forever since the merger, right? Or not the merger, but us taking it over.
The process has been that we needed to update the job description, and that's really regular. I mean, when we have a position open, I encourage either the department heads or depending on this type of position myself to go through and just make sure it accurately reflects what we're doing in this current time period. And so I wanted to be really clear about that. The way it stood honestly was a little bit intimidating for someone who wants to take that on, that they basically didn't have a guiding body. And that's not the case, so.
So how does the, and it probably says is there, how the advisory board fits into this
The advisory board's underneath the
The-
discretion of the actual director.
director? Okay.
So at the moment, it doesn't apply until we get an actual director.
Okay, I just wanted to double check
Yeah,
that.
that's true, that's true.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
We don't know exactly how that works.
Yeah, it's at the discretion of the director themselves. It's clearly outlined in the bylaws.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
And I mean, just to add on what you're saying is that that's an advisory board. You are still the direction.
Yeah,
And
we
so the
still-
advisory board can say, advise, recommend things different than you decide, but once you decide it, that's the direction everyone has.
The
to
director would basically call those meetings, discuss whatever it is discussed, but we as the board would make the actual appointments.
Yeah.
To the
okay,
actual
just like
board.
a
at the
regular.
county board.
Yeah, regular. Okay,
And you can see, I guess, one other thing I would just highlight, since we're talking about filling the position, the requirements have not changed. We're still looking for a master's degree in public health, public administration, or a related field. I believe, from what I understand, the last time we filled this, we really focused on that master's in public health. But I'm making a pretty strong recommendation that we focus on public administration, masters of business administration, program management in their experience. I mean, this position oversees 46 employees with 5 large divisions and several other programs like DEC and opioid education that kind of span off from those even in fact. It's a project manager. I mean, this person is managing a lot of things and keeping them going forward. And a lot of it talks about compliance and ensuring the standards are met, not necessarily the one who is programming the public health. So that's my recommendation is as we go out and recruit for this position.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree.
well, maybe we ought to list that first under the education requirement. After, before the public health.
Yeah, we can change that if you'd like to. We can change the order of that. And I also will tell you that we will be actively recruiting for this position.
And I think it's they're both at the same level, I think, that matter which one you list first, but we got to take an emphasis on both. The public health side's equally as important.
Well, yes,
obviously. I mean,
yes,
Right.
it's, but yeah, administering, which is our 3rd largest department. Outside EMS.
Well, yes, EMS.
I
sorry.
mean, fire, when you include all the
Well,
volunteers and
yeah,
everything. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I will say that we'll be actively recruiting, so we're gonna be reaching out to potential candidates, and I did a really quick, just overview of the candidates that are available in kind of the Kansas region. Again, really quick, just to see what we could do and looking for these requirements. There's a lot out there. Now we have to find someone who wants to work in public health. Public health is its own kind of entity. Same thing, we're talking about other public service positions, right? You have to have that heart of service and be willing to work on a really big problem, community-wide problem that you can make some headway in. It's very different than private health. So we'll put some things out there and hopefully find some great candidates.
Looking forward to the process.
I move to approve, excuse me, I move to approve the requisition to fill the health department director position.
I would second that.
It's been moved in second to approve the requisition to fill the health department director position for recruitment. All in favor?
Aye.
All three, please sign.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Next commissioner, you have Amanda Webb at 10:25. Thank you. How the apple trees growing?
The ones that got planted this year have done exceptionally well.
How many did you get planted this year?
1,500.
That's not many.
There's
True.
the Incredible Rootstock has a waiting list for it. So the one nursery in the United States that produces those, you got to get in their cycle, basically. So we got in 2 years ago, but we're still able to get, next year we'll get 2/3 of them, and the third year we'll get the rest, but
What's your total count gonna be on apple trees?
4,000.
You gonna
Yeah,
apply,
they're 3
supply,
foot apart.
you gonna supply apple trees for the state of Kansas?
No. We just need people to come pick them and walk them off the farm.
That'd be a
I'll
lot.
have to remember that.
Yeah.
How long does it take for a tree to produce?
So these are all variety apples, meaning Fuji, Gala, Honeycrisp, Cosmic, whatever. And they're on dwarf rootstock. So they're planted 3 foot apart on a wire trellis. So it's a wall of 9 foot wall of apples.
Oh, wow.
And they take about 3 years to get to production. So we're hoping our first fall festival, which will have apples, obviously, is a big part of the center of it, will be fall of 26.
Okay.
And then that crop grows because the other ones will be coming on board every year. So. And if she produces, pumpkins with that, and, basically we're hoping that apple season goes from the week before Labor Day to Halloween. And, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, hopefully have crowds.
Well, I noticed you get some of it's fenced in and some of it isn't.
The apples had to be deer fenced.
Well, that's what I thought. I mean,
Yeah,
The landscape trees that are below them, those are all.
oh, those are the
columns that are
landscape.
covered.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so those will get dug and shipped off in 3 years. And then that lower field will become, you pick sunflowers or whatever. So,
I just want, I wonder, I thought, yeah, the deer is gonna,
yeah, but in the short term, you put
the
something
deer are
around
gonna
the revenue.
gather
Oh,
around.
thank you. I like those.
Yeah. But that highway's a blessing and a curse. It stinks to move equipment up and down when you're farming and doing stuff, but the traffic is unbelievable. And the out-of-state traffic even that comes through there, and the Milford Lake traffic that
Yeah,
comes through there, and
Mhm.
just, we can be hunting in western Kansas. And somebody will be like, oh yeah, we go back to Manhattan to the K-State games, and I can be at Colby, or Hoxie, and they'll be like, where do you live? And I said, oh, there's a tree farm right west of Riley, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I know that place, because there's not a lot of those. And so we're hoping that for Kansas's part in the grant, they really want to see 100 miles and farther. And out of state if
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
And, you know, we, as far as you pick apple orchards of any size, we're probably the farthest west. So we hope we can, you know, and apples fall and K-State football falls in the same season.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we're hoping that they'll come by and pick their tailgating cider donuts up on the way. And on the way out, maybe the next day after the hotel in Manhattan, stop to pick apples.
Yeah.
I think you just develop a purple apple.
That would be
There you go.
That would
There
be
you
awesome.
go.
I've never seen one of those.
Or plant them in a big power cat formation or something so they can take pictures.
Yeah, but.
Well,
but I
maybe
do
you
think
spray the
there's-
trees themselves, not the
Yeah,
fruits.
but I do think there's a
Like dyeing your hair.
the highway and the game traffic and the.
Yeah.
That's.
Mhm.
Traffic coming by.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Particularly right now.
Yeah, we're trying to get them up from Junction City coming around now.
Okay, well, let's actually talk about the actual, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay. Amanda Webb, Planning Director, here with, a letter of support for Scott Howe, who of course you know is in the audience. His grant application for the Kansas Tourism, Production and Development Grant. As he was explaining, and if you want him to come up and talk a little bit more, if you have specific questions for him. Just expanding on his existing tree farm in Riley, Kansas, to offer the big orchards, all kinds of different apples. He wants to do tours of the tree fields, educational opportunities, and that's gonna be for kids, adults, everything, all kinds of different new activities out there. So I don't know, again, if you have specific questions for Scott, or if you want him to come up and talk a little bit more kind of officially on the record, or if you have anything specific, but we just have this letter of support for his grant application in your here, so.
We've done letters of support for this particular development grant several times along the way, so. Did it for the Liquid Winery, yeah, just to name a few, so. First, I'm glad, you know, honestly, I'm glad the state of Kansas over the last 6 to 8 years in particular has kind of taken a little bit more active approach to some of these unique things and kind of tailor them to tourism, because everybody just thinks of us as flyover country, but if you fly over, you don't get to see trees, so, you know, and apples and orchards and everything, right, so, so yeah, it's important.
You have any more to say, Scott?
No, it's just a heck of an investment
Yeah.
and if we can get a little bit of grant money, I guess.
Patience.
Yeah,
I have no issues with that at all.
Sounds good.
Yep.
I'd make a motion to have the Board of County Commissioners sign the letter of support for the Fall Color Farms.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded for the BOC to sign the letter of support for the Creekside at the Fall Color Farms Tourism Grant application. All in favor?
Aye.
All three, please sign. Scott, thanks what you're doing for rural economic development. Yeah, appreciate it.
we're trying.
We wish you the best of luck.
So we think we have a pretty good novelty there, because I don't know of another commercial tree farm in the United States that also has like you pick in the agritourism. And especially in Kansas, I can't think of another one. So a lot of vegetable guys do agritourism.
I know some people that have a sizable amount of trees, but they don't have a tourism or a.
Right.
Yeah.
But to be able to tie the two together, because people do, even conventional farmers come up and say, I want to tour your place sometime. It's interesting going.
Growing up in grandparents up in Leavenworth County, we used to go over to a
Mhm.
farm over in Effingham, we picked raspberries and blueberries and, but nothing larger than that. And those are just, you know, those are just plants basically. So, you
They
know,
got some apple places out there
yeah,
now.
do they?
Mhm.
And this would have been mid to late 80s, so.
Yeah, you get over by Kansas City and there's more of that stuff.
Yeah.
Way out west here, there's. So, all right. Well,
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, everybody, Kansas City thinks anything. I think Western Kansas starts at Topeka.
Not quite. Next, Commissioner, you have Clancy at 10:40.
10:40, my goodness.
First kind of a break.
They're pretty well cheap. Well, I'll get out of here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
There's shows different on the says, you know, there's most of the cities are. But what can't do is it's not that leaks public infrastructure outside of music. Not to get understood outside of it. It's only the seven. Well, that's not a position that this line. Well, I didn't think about that. So she'd say the day, assuming that we can figure out what to get with this line, this thing gets to go right on the schedule. Oh, no, that's fine. Since I know. And I can't blame the person hard for not having an easement, because they might not know the property. Sure, you can't even really grant yourself an easement when you own property. I mean, government's kind of do it, but it's hard.
Well, they do it when they foresee that they're going to need to do that, but this has come with some challenges because of topography and everything, so.
9 yards.
Yeah, but, yeah.
I have hope that they're not gonna be the cardiac cats. Not too late ball clubs are good.
Yeah, they've been good for the last couple, they've won 23 games the last couple of years, and they may be in a non-power 5, but. They've beaten some power 5, you know, they won the Cotton Bowl 2 years ago, I mean. And they had a lot of experience outside of some of the skill positions, so, yeah. It wasn't gonna be an easy game, of course, they beat us 2 years ago here, so it wasn't.
Yeah. They just have, when you're.
It's college football is always about matchups too, and weak as part of our defense, matched up against the strongest part of their offense, so.
Yeah.
We struggle against teams that can go vertical. Arizona's gonna be another one.
Who is?
Arizona. Or at least they have the ability to, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get it.
The thing that
Besides, that's what you're gonna eliminate. You can't eliminate it.
the other thing that kind of concerns me is we're on a short week, obviously, with the game being on Friday. It kind of condenses your.
Yeah, same thing for them though.
Same thing, and they had a late night,
Same thing. for
They
them.
gotta fly in,
True.
so. But. Gotta figure things out.
And the receivers thing, I just don't get it. Every other Big 12 team has at least one go-to super stud receiver. Year in and year out, and we cannot.
Well, because they don't want to pass more than 2 yards past the line of scrimmage.
There's always these swing outs and just short slants and stuff, and. We missed on one. I mean, Sterling Lockett could have had his first touchdown easy, but they overshot him, but. And that's just, young quarterback, young receiver, and that's gonna happen, I guess, but.
Morning, Catherine.
Good morning.
Ready, John?
Morning, Commissioners. Lance Holden, Raleigh County Council. We have the most recent version of the project list. As again, snapshot of those items we worked on over the past reporting period. And trying to keep it, with the exception of historical information, to the last 6 months. Be glad answering the questions you've got on the items I've got. I don't have anything in particular that I wanted to kind of walk you through, but if you've got questions on anything on here, questions about any pending work, I'd be glad to try and answer that for you. I've not yet found out from our delegation those dates for the legislative conference. I would do so. Can we do that proposed fence team coming up? I need to get back with the joining landowners, see if they're available on the date suggested, which, as I recall, was the 27th. That morning.
I think that was right. Yeah, we could, there was a Friday movie.
Find out before I throw it.
I didn't write it because it's, yeah, I didn't write it down.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. I didn't have. I'm gonna leave that time open for the moment.
Okay. Usually what we do is, and I intend to do it the same way, we schedule 1 hour on site and then plus travel time. Try to condense it to that. This is gonna be an interesting one because part of the property involved does not apparently qualify for a fence view. The other side does. On one side, you have property used in common. And on the other side, otherwise in common. It's only that second where you have the ability. And I've explained that to the applicant. He understands that.
Which direction are we going?
I know we're going that way.
North, but
It's gonna be to the north, not as far as Alaska.
That's good.
I'm always hesitant when somebody who lives north says, well, it's only about 25 minutes. No, I don't know about that, so. I'll figure it out and schedule accordingly. I'm thinking we probably want to leave. We talked about the leave time here, probably no earlier than 9 o'clock, I'm assuming. And then adjust it even later if that's what you want, but.
I think we adjust it later, make you pay for lunch.
Is this gonna be
It's always fun.
pasture land is what, or
It
crop
has
land?
both.
or-
It has both.
Okay.
Pasture on one side. Yeah, pasture and crop on one side, and then there's just pasture on the other. I did, and the landowner was understood what I was describing and said, okay, well, if only part of it qualifies. And I left it open the possibility, since you're there, you might want to look at it also, because you can't always assume everybody involved has the same opinion.
Well, not on these.
Several different.
That's why we're there.
There it is. Is there a lake to go around this time? Or
Not
pond
that
or
I've
whatever?
seen.
Okay.
Not that I've seen.
There'll be some other obstruction.
There'll be something that makes it more interesting. But
Here are my boots, huh?
Just be prepared. I think that day will work. I know it works for the applicant. Got to make sure it works for the others.
Would that whenever get resolved?
Haven't heard anything. I call that resolution. Now, that could change somewhere down the road.
I just jinxed us. You just jinxed us.
I did not.
This one will be-
No, I said.
This one will be in January,
Yeah.
right?
We'll be out there -3 degrees in our
Yeah.
car hearts.
It'll be either.
Well, then we can walk across the pond.
That's
instead
true.
of around it.
It is true.
Skate across.
I think you do.
We do a little ice fishing.
It won't be convenient if it ever does come.
No, yeah.
That much I can assure you. But that's all I have unless you have questions on anything. Thank you.
Bit of a break, commissioners. You have Catherine Hensler at 11 o'clock.
We just do it now.
It's up to the board. You'd like to, we can.
It's fine with me.
Let's just do it now. Yeah, let's just do it now. Yeah.
Hello.
Well, I mean, it's not like a public, it's just an update on
Yeah.
travel requests. It's not.
No major decisions.
But I just figured since it was.
No, that's fine.
we
No,
didn't-
that's good.
yeah,
Mhm.
Didn't have to
I
wait.
just for sure, Lord, I just for sure more than like question.
Oh, well, then he's probably happy I did that. then. Go ahead, Catherine.
All right. Good morning, Commissioners. Catherine Hensler, Museum Director. I'm here with your monthly staff report of the museum. So starting out like we normally do, speaking of visitation and tours, you'll notice our numbers are a little bit higher than July. So 590 total. I did have to leave the Pioneer Log Cabin attendance out of this report. It was not available by the time of the report submission, but I can since I have received those numbers since then. 12 people visited the Pioneer Log Cabin in August, and that was very low. It was because 3 out of the 4 Sundays in the month were over 95 degrees. So we typically close
It's
the
so warm
log,
there.
it's so hot. We don't have air conditioning, there's not great ventilation, so generally if it's over about 93, 94, we just don't use this day. So we had only 1 day of attendance in August. And 12 people came in for that. So, as far as volunteer hours, we had a wonderful, tally of volunteer hours in the month of August. So, just about almost even double of what we normally get, 326.5 hours. And, the substantial accumulation has really been with the Riley County Historical Society's Board of Directors. They've been working really hard on their strategic planning committee. And we also had a couple programs and 1 day of assembling a picnic table, which brought a number of people up. Commissioner McKinley, thank you for being there this afternoon. So we had a lot of volunteer activities in the month of August, and I'm just very happy to report what a great turnout. As far as education and outreach, Curator Highsmith provided a presentation in the Manhattan Welcome Club on the Eureka Lake Resort and Electric Park. 40 attendees, that's always a very popular presentation. I also traveled with the county's public affairs officer, Vivian Leyva, in August for the KSNT morning show. We did a really brief interview on cemetery and headstone preservation and conservation, which of course is really taken off this year. And so we spoke a little bit on that local initiative between our museum and our historical society, what we've been able to do both here in Riley County and also with the partnership of some other neighboring counties. We of course had our regular K-Man in focus, and that star show was County Extension Director Gary Bike. So we really appreciate him attending with us as a guest that month. And he spoke about the Riley County Affairs history. And then just to conclude, I've been reporting to you throughout the summer about the program called Sunflower Summer. It concluded in mid-August with the full program attendance reaching 173. So those were 173 additional visitors we had at the museum and the Goodnow House. This program has been offered annually since I believe 2021 through the Kansas Department of Tourism. And normally what they do is for each attendance, they pay the admission. So they cover the cost, they offset the cost of admission. Because we are an admission-free organization, we essentially get a grant. So those attendance numbers brought in $570 of grant funding. And that of course is run through our Historical Society as our nonprofit partner. Collections, we are still under the collections moratorium. And I do apologize, I did not have the numbers. And really there shouldn't be any numbers, but there are numbers. I did not have them when I submitted this report last week. However, I can report that 3 collections came in the month of August, and that totals 30 items. One day we're going to come up here and report that 0 came in that month. 2 were already previously committed donations that just happened to finally make their way to the museum. And then 1 was an internal county donation. So it made sense for us to accept those. The rest of the numbers are all 0, 0, 0. So we're also pretty much the entire year I've been reporting about NAGPR revisions that we are obligated to adhere to as a professionally operated museum. We have completed step number 2 that was completed on August 14th. We were able to get out all of the invitations to consult with the relevant recognized tribes. That was 58 individual tribes. Since then, we have received 10 requests to consult and 1 request for repatriation. So we are proceeding with the required processes and statutes at this time. And I will say, this has been a really rewarding process to go through. It has been incredibly time consuming and a lot of work, but it essentially allowed us to reconcile our entire collection of Native American artifacts, as well as start connecting with the tribes in at least one case, returning these artifacts to the tribes that they rightfully belong to. So while it's been a lot of work and it has taken time out of cleaning the museum, which we all know is something we really need to do. It's been a wonderful process. We're really happy to be participating in this. Moving down to archives and library, 19 total transactions took place with the research library and archives. And that included 10 external research requests, 8 in-person appointments, and 1 walk-in. And then, of course, as you realize and remember, Curator Glasgow will be retiring from her role on October 1st of 2024. I do want to extend the invitation to you to join us. It's going to be a crazy busy day. September 20th, you'll be out on tours, viewing all of the facilities. But if you happen to stop into the museum that afternoon from 1 to 3, we will be having a retirement celebration for Linda. So feel free to join us. As far as building and grounds, the Riley County Historical Society has hired a contractor to clean up most of the grounds of the Goodnoe property. As you remember, this property is that kind of complicated one that we manage because the county, the society, and the state historical society all have responsibilities in its management and operation. And so this is our local historical society oversees any operational expenses. And so they have contracted with a local contractor to clean that site up. So if you visit anytime in the near future, you'll see some big changes, including brush removal, accessibility, cleaning up some of the paths, making the paths a bit more stable, and just overall appearance improvement. We will be working with the state and local contractor this fall to completely restore the windows and the doors of the Goodnoe barn. That is a project that we've been reporting on for almost 2 years, and it's been held up due to grant funding. The grant funding has been released, and that of course came through the state. So we're very excited to be able to proceed with that project this fall. We are hoping after that we'll be able to, that property will be a bit more usable. We would like to convert it into a classroom. As you know, at the museum, we currently do not have open and accommodating education space, and we're hoping to be able to use the barn for that purpose. And no major issues to note at this time concerning the museum building. As far as staffing, we have been working with the Human Resources Department, and that is to fill 2 open positions at the museum. One is an as-needed museum assistant, which is an as-needed part-time position, and then the other is the curator of archives and library, which will be vacant upon Glasgow's retirement on October 1st. We are just about concluding the interviews, museum assistant. The final interview will be this week, and then we will be starting the curator of archives and library interviews next week. So we hope to have some good news on both fronts very soon. We will be keeping these positions open until filled. There's not a deadline for applications. I also would like to report that we have a new intern who has been hired for the fall semester. Her name is Ann Beard. She is a recent K-State graduate, and she started in this role in early August. She has a background in marketing and public relations. And she has been working on a number of different projects. She approached us. She has an interest in a career in museums. So right now she's getting to try everything: the good, the bad, and the less desirable jobs within museums too. So we hope to mentor her and either lead her in the right direction of a museum career or help her decide that it's maybe not where she wants to be. It takes a special person, but we do want to welcome Anne. So far, she's done a great job. Real quick update on the Historical Society, which is the museum's nonprofit arm. The board of directors are now in their final days of working with Cleanflower Consulting on their upcoming new strategic plan. They will be reviewing it and voting on it at the September 11th meeting. And then it will also be coming to you shortly thereafter for a review. We of course recognize that with these organizations working in partnership with one another, we all have to be on the same page. And so I've been part of every step of the way with the society's strategic plan. Of course, county is going into strategic planning as well, and we really want to make sure that these plans for both organizations complement one another and really work towards the mission that both of us uphold. So the plan then, after reviewing and accepting, would be the society will be presenting the plan to their membership at the November annual meeting. There's not a date set yet for that, but we will let you know as soon as that occurs. And that is basically for the society membership. And then it will go into effect on January 1st. There are some big plans. It does include some additional hiring positions on the historical society side, which means that will relieve me of a lot of the society and nonprofit based things and allow me to focus on cleaning up the museum and the exhibits of the museum and really focusing on developing the museum facility going forward. So exciting all around. I won't go through all of the upcoming events, but we have a busy fall ahead of us. I will just note tomorrow night, we will have our September fireside chat, and that will be featuring Doug Chappie Chapman. He'll be providing a presentation on the music of Motown, and there will be a short acoustic set that goes along with that lecture component. Those programs are always free and open to the public, and they're at Flight Crew Coffee, which is downtown on Points. The rest are just things, feel free to read through. We have some bus tours, we've got some walking tours, we have some partnerships with other organizations. And then I do want to note that the Historical Society will have their quarterly meeting on October the 10th. And that will take place up in Keats, and it's titled the History of Keats and the Wildcat Valley. It'll be a historical, a panel with local historians. There will also be free pie from the Farmhouse Restaurant. That program is free and open to the public as well. But all of these things are on our website, and they will go out in our monthly e-newsletters. Are there any questions about that report? Okay. That concludes my staff update. Can I go right into the?
Yep.
Okay. The next thing that I'd like to talk to you about is an out-of-state travel request for our museum curator of education and design in high school. So our museum staff has not attended the Mountain Plains Museum Association conference since pre-COVID. In fact, it's been a decade since anyone has gone up there. It is a regional museum association, and it really deals with kind of that Midwest Mountain Plains area. And so it's a little more extensive than just our Kansas Museums Association. And they pull a lot of resources out of the national museum world, so Association for State and Local History and American Association of Museums. So it's a really good avenue for us to go and branch out. I would like to propose sending one of our staff members, and that's Melanie Highsmith, who's our Curator of Education and Design, to attend. It's going to be taking place in Bismarck, North Dakota, of all places, and it will be from October 6th through the 8th of this year. The theme of the conference is Trails to the Future. So normally I would be requesting in this request for to use that funding out of our budget coming out of the county. However, we do have a budget through the Historical Society. And we do propose to be paying for the entirety of these costs out of their budget and not the museum's budget. So there is zero fiscal impact to the county. However, we do need permission to send those staff people out of state. So I'd be happy to entertain any questions about this proposal. And of course, you will have your possible motions. I do feel it's important that we start sending these younger staff members out to conferences outside of this safe little Kansas museum world. So if you would support that, I would be very grateful. Any questions?
I'll have departments out of state travel, go to Florida, Georgia, California, Vegas. She gets to go to Bismarck.
That'll still be pretty nice though, in early October. It won't be too cold here.
I've never been.
Have any effect?
It's the location I'd rather go opposed to all those others
Well,
myself.
that's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact,
And
I
also it's
hear,
early enough, not in January.
Yeah.
January does more.
Would be miserable.
Can I carry your bags?
pardon?
Can I carry your bags?
Sure. I
But
think,
that has to come out of the county budget.
yeah, I can't pay for that.
So you got money in the clerk's budget for that?
Brittany takes it all.
I do hear that if you go to North Dakota and it's your final 50th state of visitation,
Which
They
it usually
will-
is.
yeah, and they will throw a party for you.
I just
at the
read something
Chamber of
about you. I just read
Commerce,
something
chamber you
about that,
walk
yeah.
into. So I did tell Melanie to scout that out. I think this is her 5th state to visit. So she's got a lot more travel
Yeah,
to
it's a
do,
lot.
but she's gonna get North Dakota knocked off, where most of us do.
I'm a little over halfway on that one myself.
I think Alaska would be the last one. for most.
Mm-hmm. The most difficult.
It's my turn.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my turn, okay. Okay, I would make a motion to approve Melanie Highsmith to go to the Mountain Plains Museum Association Annual Conference in Bismarck, North Dakota, October 6th through the 8th. And the cost to be covered by the Raleigh County Historical Society.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to send museum staff member Melanie Highsmith to the Mountain Plains Museums Association's annual conference in Bismarck, North Dakota. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair, please sign.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Catherine. Have a good week.
Have a good day.
Okay, well, according to the agenda, that was the last item for the day. I don't have anything in particular to discuss.
Me either.
Excuse me, make a motion to adjourn the September 9th meeting.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn the September